For 92 years, one nation came to the World Cup and left with nothing. 4 tournaments, 0 wins. A record of pure silence. They called it a curse. They called it the Egyptian ceiling, a glass roof that no pharaoh, no matter how gifted, could ever break. And last night, in Vancouver, under the floodlights of BC Place, that ceiling finally cracked. We open their file. Minutia. One nation, one story, the fall before the triumph. Understand the weight of it first. Egypt were the first African nation ever to reach a World Cup. 1934. Pioneers before most of the planet had even started dreaming in this game. They lost, and then they vanished. 56 years of silence before they returned. To this day, no team in history has ever waited longer between 2 World Cup matches. 1990. Italy. Egypt came back and they held the giants. A goalless draw with Ireland. And then a famous 1-1 with the Netherlands, the reigning champions of Europe. Proud, defiant, but still 3 games, 2 draws, 1 defeat, bottom of the group and home again. Respect, but never a win. 2018. Russia. Mohamed Salah carried them back and an entire continent dared to dream with him. They lost all 3. 31st out of 32 nations on Earth. That is the number that haunted them. Almost dead last on the planet. Salah scored Egypt's first World Cup goal in 28 years, and even that could not stop the bleeding. 4 World Cups, not a single victory. Almost a century of arriving and never once tasting it. And at the center of all of it, one face. Mohamed Salah, the greatest footballer his country has ever produced. A man who has lifted the biggest trophies the European game can offer. A king in England, a king across Europe, a king everywhere on this earth except here, except on this one stage. The one that matters most to the people back home. In 2018, his shoulder was wrenched apart in a Champions League final, just weeks before the tournament of his life. He arrived broken. He played through the pain, and he left beaten. The cruelest version of the story a sportsman can be handed. To understand what last night meant, you have to understand what he means. In Egypt, Mohamed Salah is not simply a footballer. He is proof of what is possible. A boy from a small village who became one of the most famous athletes alive. A whole generation grew up wanting to be him. And for all of it, the one prize he could never hand them was a World Cup win. Until now. Now he is 33 years old, and they whisper quietly that this is his last World Cup. His final chance to turn a glittering career into something a nation will tell its children about for 100 years. One last attempt to break the ceiling before the lights go out on him for good. And for 45 minutes in Vancouver, it looked like the curse would win again. It looked like Egypt would simply be Egypt. It looked like the file would close once more, exactly the way it always had. Then the second half began. Go back to the start of the night. The 15th minute. New Zealand. A corner swung in by Tim Payne, and Surman climbs above everyone in red and heads it home. 1-0. The all-whites in front, and the doubt floods straight back in. Because the old story is already writing itself again. Same Egypt, same ending. A nation built, it seemed, to lose on this exact stage. The pattern of 92 years, repeating one more time. At halftime, they trudge off behind. The cameras find Salah's face, and there is no panic in it. Just something colder, something patient. The look of a man who has been doubted his whole career and has finally run out of patience for it. Because in the dugout stands Hossam Hassan, a man who once wore this very shirt himself, who carried Egypt at the World Cup as a player decades ago, in the days when they drew and fought and still could never win. The first Egyptian ever to come to a World Cup as both a footballer and a coach, he knows this pain better than any man alive. And he has not waited his entire life to bow out quietly on a Sunday in Vancouver. But here is what should worry every favourite still left in this tournament. When Egypt walked back out for the second half, they did not look like a team carrying 92 years of failure on their backs. They looked like a team that had finally, at long last, set the weight down on the grass and walked away from it. The 58th minute. Mostafa Zico, the equaliser, and the dam breaks. 1-1, and you can feel the whole night begin to tilt. And now the entire tournament leans in toward one man, the 67th minute. The ball drops to Salah inside the box. Of course it does. Who else? And this time, there is no hesitation, no cruel twist waiting in the dark. He hammers it home. 2-1, Egypt in front. BC Place erupts into a noise that has been held in for 28 years. 4 World Cups of silence, gone in a single swing of his left foot. That strike makes Mohamed Salah the greatest World Cup scorer in the entire history of Egypt. The first man ever to score across more than one World Cup in that red shirt. The king finally crowned on the one stage that had always coldly turned him away. And they are not finished. The 82nd minute. Trezeguet. 3. The knockout blow, struck cleanly with no mercy left in it. Full time. New Zealand 1, Egypt 3. The first World Cup victory in the entire history of the nation, and it gets sweeter still. In the other game, Belgium and Iran could only draw, which means Egypt do not simply win tonight. They sit top of their group on the very edge of the knockout rounds for the first time in 92 years of trying. For a continent that has given this game so much and been handed so little in return, a night like this travels far beyond one scoreline. Egypt did not just win a football match, they rewrote the opening line of their own history. Children who will never remember the 92 years of hurt. Only this. Only the night the Pharaohs finally won. Almost a century of waiting, 4 tournaments of pure silence, and in the end it broke, not with a miracle, but with a comeback. They fell first, and only then did they rise. But do not mistake one night for the end of the story. A single group stage win is not redemption. Not yet. The knockouts are coming. The true giants of this tournament are still waiting in the dark, and they will not fear a team that had never won a thing until yesterday. One game does not close a file that took 92 years to open. It only turns the page. They will look at Egypt now and see a side with nothing left to lose and a once-in-a-generation forward in red. And that is a dangerous thing to become, this deep into a World Cup. For Egypt, for Salah, for Hossam Hassan, who waited 36 years to turn that old, aching draw into a victory. For a nation that waited almost 100 years just to taste it once. The hardest chapters are still ahead of them. So we leave the file open. Because that is the rule here. One win is never the whole story. If this hit, like it, share it with one football friend, and subscribe. A new file opens tomorrow. The files never close.